Development unfolding on the same day that Mohammed's 15-year-old cousin, Tariq Abu Khdeir, was released on bail.
So how do you feel now you're out?
Yeah, I feel way better.
Tariq is an American citizen from Florida whose summer vacation turned to horror when his 16-year-old cousin Mohammed was abducted from his home and burned alive in the woods last Wednesday.
They hit me.
Now out on house arrest, Tariq shows us his bruises, angry markings of the hatred rearing its head in East Jerusalem once again. Last week, Tariq was beaten and arrested by Israeli police at a protest following his cousin's death. This cell phone video shows Israeli police striking and kicking the boy's limp body. Now under investigation, whether Tariq physically baited the officers before the beating or if their attack was unprompted.
Why did they attack you?
I don't know. That's why I ran.
Did you throw stones?
They said that you were throwing stones. They said that you were throwing stones, something like this.
No, I jumped the fence and I tried to run away because I just saw somebody running at me, so I tried to run away.
Tariq's release and the arrest of 6 suspects in his cousin's death, now just small comfort for Mohammed's grieving parents, whose father says those arrests won't bring his son back. His son's murder, widely believed to be a revenge attack for the killings of 3 Israeli teenagers in the West Bank last month, prompting the worst clashes the city has seen in a decade. Both Palestinian and Israeli officials have condemned the killings and called for maximum restraint. The fear in these passionate times that the blood of the murdered teenagers could lead to the spilling of more. There have been a series of rocket attacks from the Gaza Strip into Israel over the last few days, and the Israeli Defense Forces have responded with airstrikes. Hamas now says that 9 of its militants have been killed as a result of those airstrikes, and there will be funerals down in Rafah in the Gaza Strip today. The Hamas spokesman has called this a grave escalation, that Israel has crossed a red line, and says that it will pay the price. And that is exactly the rhetoric that people fear clearly that this could escalate further. John, back to you.
All right, Diana, thanks so much. Joining us now is Tariq Khadeir's family lawyer, Hassan Shibly. He's also the executive director of the Florida Council on American-Islamic Relations. Hassan, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. You know the Khadeir family. You know Tariq's family. You've seen him grow up. You've talked to them since he's been released. How's he doing this morning?
He's doing a lot better. I'm a little concerned. I just called the family just before coming into this interview, and there were reports that they went to the Israeli police for further questioning. We're extremely concerned that he's under house arrest right now without really facing any legitimate charges that have been made public, and that those who beat him apparently are walking free.
Let's talk about that in a second. I want to focus on Tariq for a moment here. He's a 15-year-old kid, an American kid from Florida. Tell me about him. What kind of guy is he?
Tariq is just your average, regular high school freshman kid. He's my neighbor, lives down the street from me. Loves basketball, going fishing, taking selfies. He's just your regular average kid. I could never imagine that he would go such a terrible and traumatic experience, especially so early in this life. I have no doubt that this is going to forever shape him. And
he was in Jerusalem for a summer vacation to spend some time with his Palestinian family, correct?
Absolutely. He hadn't been there in over a decade. He just wanted to go and meet his old cousins, his friends, and really just enjoy a beautiful time in a beautiful land.
Now, we've all seen the video right now of the Israeli Defense Forces beating, apparently, Tariq there. I don't think it's hard to imagine any action justifying that kind of reaction. However, I do think it is important to know what happened before then. Has Tariq's family or Tariq given you any indication what he was doing before that attack took place? We hear from the Israelis he had a slingshot on him. We heard earlier reports that maybe he was involved in throwing Molotov cocktails. What do you know?
I mean, really a slingshot. I don't think there's anything at all that can justify police officers in uniform basically restraining the hands of a child and then repeatedly kicking him over 6 times, almost a dozen times, punching him to the head, to the gut, while his body is lifeless and frankly, he's unconscious. There's nothing that can justify that terrible, disgusting, inhumane behavior. We need those officers brought to justice and Israel to revise its policies to ensure that kind of behavior never happens again. And frankly, he was arrested on his family's land. I mean, mean, where you see the beating taking place is his own family's yard. So he had every right to be there. The Israeli officers had no right to be there and no right to beat a 15-year-old American child whose hands are being restrained and who's being kicked while he's on the ground in the head. You know, that's arguably lethal force.
Understood. But, sir, was he involved in throwing rocks at the Defense Forces?
No, he was not.
We now have a situation where kids are being hurt, kids are being killed there. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called Mohammed Tariq's father overnight to express his condolences over his murder. You know, if the Prime Minister could call Tariq's family, what would you want him to say?
What I would want him to say is to apologize for the disgusting behavior of those officers and to promise and provide concrete steps to ensure that the Israeli officers and the army will never, ever again brutally attack any Palestinian civilian and any child, especially those that are already restrained. I mean, I think that's the first and most necessary step. And we need really all sides right now to just stop this disgusting cycle of violence where innocent children, both on the Israeli and Palestinian side, are being killed and injured almost daily nowadays. And this just has to stop.
I think that's something we can all agree on. You know, on that front, if the Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas, if he would call the parents of the 3 Israeli young men who were killed, what do you think he should say to those parents?
You know, I think he should say that we're all in mourning for their children. You know, it was very, very tragic to hear about the killing of the 3 innocent Israeli children that died. It was very tragic to hear about the killing of the 2 Palestinians that were killed 2 weeks before then. I mean, this is just an unending cycle of violence with either side claiming a retaliation for the other. But you cannot retaliate against children. I mean, it just really shows a loss of humanity when children on either side are being targeted. We need to stop this cycle of violence before, you know, further children are hurt, further innocent people are hurt.
If our kids are being hurt and killed, it just shows how unsafe the situation is. Tariq, presumably, hopefully, will be able to come home soon to the United States, where, again, he's an American kid. He'll be able to come back to America here, hopefully, you know, recover nicely. You know, what do you think he will take with him from this summer in Jerusalem?
You know, I think he'll really have a greater appreciation for the civil rights we as Americans enjoy at home and the due process of law and government accountability, which apparently appears as lacking in Israel currently, which claims to be a democracy. And hopefully, I really will shape him to stand up as a advocate for interfaith relations, peace, justice, and human rights. Unfortunately, right now, his cousins, some of whom are younger than him, who have broken bones, are still in prison. The family is extremely grateful for the world that stood up and the public attention this received, because they believe he still would be in prison right now if the world did not speak out against his wrongful arrest and beating.
Well, we hope he's doing well. We just saw some pictures again of him after the attack, and we do hope he recovers nicely. Just a 15-year-old kid. Good to see him back in America soon. Hassan Shibly, thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing him back here. Thank you so much.
Kate.